Look, consider the classic idea of going the traditional route. Go to school, look for jobs, work hard, save, get out of debt, and invest wisely in the stock market for the long term. Subscribe to our channel to receive regular motivational videos, inspiring stories, and practical tools to transform your life. Don't miss the opportunity to be part of this movement toward greatness and meaning. Click the sign up button below, and let's embark on this journey together towards a life that counts and matters. However, a question arises. Why save when governments are injecting trillions of dollars into the economy? The disparity between the richest 1% and the rest is stark. It is clear that money is not the only factor. It's crucial to look at the bigger picture. So what's your approach? In each of us, there is a person with financial difficulties, there is also a middle-class person looking for security and financial stability, and there is also a rich person. However, something crucial is missing from this equation. These concepts are not properly taught. It's a familiar narrative. We attend school, secure a job, and wait for a paycheck. But where is the lesson on how to get rich? Rich Dad, Poor Dad highlights this gap. My rich dad refused to pay me. He emphasized that receiving a salary was one of the worst traps in life, as it puts you in the mentality of an employee. My rich dad never paid me a steady salary. This upset my poor father, who was a civil servant, always saying, "You must pay the people, you must pay the people." But my rich dad didn't disdain the concept of salary. He simply didn't want to be a slave to money. As an entrepreneur, when my rich dad encountered difficulties, he would simply start another venture. I don't depend on a fixed salary. If the government doesn't support me, I look for opportunities in another country, as they value entrepreneurs there. Entrepreneurship is not just about the business itself, but about the mindset, skills, and distinct rules involved. You see, small businesses don't follow the same rules as large corporations. Entrepreneurship involves a specific mindset, skill sets, and rules that vary depending on whether you are an employee or an entrepreneur. The rules, minds, and skills are different for each context. If anyone is considering taking the leap of faith to become an entrepreneur, I would share my own experience. I clearly remember my last check as an employee. It was one of the most challenging and at the same time most rewarding days of my life. I was in Puerto Rico, working for Xerox, and my boss handed me a bonus check for about $30,000, the last one I would ever receive. It was a moment of shock and reflection. Wow, I thought. This is one of the emotions that accompany the decision to venture out as an entrepreneur. I completely understand. When I got that check, I was excited but also worried. Then a colleague, John, approached me and said something that stuck with me: "You'll be back." I asked him why, and he replied, "Because you will fail." His frankness took me by surprise. He himself had left Xerox, failed, and returned. My answer was firm. I told him our mentality was different. He could fail and return, but I was determined to fail and never return. This is the necessary mindset. If you already have a plan B in mind of moving back to your parents' house when you fail, that's what you'll probably do. Now I understand. That's when I became a real entrepreneur. I had no money. I had been in this situation for years. There was no regular paycheck, but that's what my rich dad motivated me to do. He stated that when you don't have the security of your salary, that's when you become more alert, smarter. It's a test of character. Will you become dishonest? Will you cheat? Will you steal? Or will you grow as a human being? The true benefit of becoming an entrepreneur is that it reveals who you are when you have nothing. This is when you need to look at the bigger picture. Many only worry about what might happen to them. But when you look at the bigger picture, you understand that just as something bad can happen, something good can also happen. However, you must be prepared for any eventuality. If you expect the next 20 years to be the same as the last few, you are fooling yourself. The key is to constantly adapt and evolve. It's interesting how we check the expiration date on products in the supermarket, but we often don't consider the expiration date on our own debts. I recently managed to refinance a $300 million debt, reducing the interest rate from 5% to 2%. This change has made a huge difference to my fortune, as money now comes in monthly at a faster rate due to the drop in cost of money. While many financial experts emphasize the importance of getting out of debt, my approach is different. Learn to use debt wisely. When I returned from service in Vietnam in January '73, my rich dad told me to go to school to learn how to invest in real estate. It wasn't just about real estate, it was about how to use debt and taxes to get rich. It is important to understand that debt and taxes can impoverish both the poor and the middle class. Many high-income professionals, like doctors and lawyers, are wondering why their income isn't translating into an improvement in their financial lives. For example, my doctor recently shared his frustration, saying, "I finally made $1 million." However, he discovered that despite earning more money, his disposable income was less than he expected. It's amazing how much talk about taxes can reveal about someone's true financial situation. I recently had a conversation with a doctor who shared that despite making $1 million, he ended up paying about $750,000 in taxes, leaving him a net of about $400,000. It's a considerable amount, but it's frustrating when compared to what it could be. I, on the other hand, took a different approach. Instead of working for money, as my rich dad taught me, I chose to be an entrepreneur and invest in real estate. This choice gives me more control over my income and allows me to minimize my tax burden. As an entrepreneur and real estate investor, I have the advantage of paying zero taxes. Every time I make $1 million as an entrepreneur, I immediately invest in real estate, achieving a 4-to-1 ratio. This means that by investing $1 million in real estate, I can withdraw $4 million from the bank. This strategy not only allows me to increase my net worth, but also maximize my earnings and minimize my tax burden. You are pointing out an important truth. When banks face difficulties, many can suffer, but for some, like me, it can be an opportunity. This aligns with the idea that when the pressure is on, that's when some people thrive, while others suffer. Savers could be hurt, while those who know how to use debt and taxes to their advantage could come out ahead. The dynamics of debt and taxes are crucial to understanding how the rich continue to get rich while the poor and middle class struggle. The traditional idea of going through school, getting a job, saving, and investing in your own home is becoming obsolete. The world has changed, especially since 1971, when President Nixon eliminated the gold standard and money became a form of debt. This raises questions about the current education system. Are we preparing young people for the world we live in today? Or are we stuck with outdated ideas? Education continues to be important, but we need to evolve to meet the demands of the contemporary world. You are absolutely correct in pointing out Moore's Law, which indicates that the amount of information doubles every 18 months. This means that knowledge becomes obsolete at a dizzying pace. When we leave school, we are often already behind, which is ironic. Nowadays, banks are even charging interest to customers who just want to save money, which reflects the excess liquidity in the financial system. This situation contributes to bubbles in various sectors, such as stocks and real estate, where people are desperately looking for places to invest their money.